Every time I lay down to rest, my guilt sat up wide awake. Tonight I was sprawled across the couch, phone in hand, the weight of the day still clinging to me. My laptop sat closed on the coffee table just a few feet away, but even shut, it radiated pressure, like it was holding its breath, waiting for me to crack first. The couch cushions sank beneath my weight, the fabric soft against my skin. But comfort wasn't what I felt. The lamp in the corner cast a warm glow across the room, soft shadows stretching along the floor. From the outside, it might have looked like peace, a woman letting herself unwind. But inside my body, peace was nowhere to be found. Because rest never came quietly for me. It came with alarms, with buzzing, with tiny pings that pulled at my nervous system like strings on a puppet. My phone vibrated against my palm. Unread emails stacked on the screen, red numbers climbing higher with every refresh. Notifications blinked like warning lights. Each one said the same thing: "You're not done." My breath quickened. My chest tightened. I tried to close my eyes, just for a moment, but my body betrayed me. Instead of sinking, I fidgeted. My shoulders shifted, searching for a position that didn't exist. The blanket draped across my legs grew heavy, stifling. I kicked it off, then pulled it back, restless. You should be working. You should be doing more. Everyone else is moving forward while you're lying here. The voice in my head wasn't gentle. It never was. It spoke with the authority of someone who'd been rehearsing the same speech for years. And the worst part, I listened. I always listened. I turned my head toward the ceiling, trying to breathe past the pressure. The quiet hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen carried into the room. The faint tick of the clock filled the silence. Ordinary sounds, but in my state, they only amplified the guilt. Because silence doesn't always mean calm. Sometimes silence is where the accusations echo the loudest. I pulled the phone closer to my chest, as if holding it would quiet the guilt. Instead, the red bubbles on the screen glared back at me. My thumb hovered over the mail app, tempted to open it, to prove I wasn't lazy. But I stopped myself, and that tiny resistance only made the guilt grow sharper. You're wasting time. You'll regret this. Tomorrow, you'll wake up behind. I turned onto my side, curling into the couch, but my body stayed tense. Rest felt impossible. Rest felt undeserved. And in that stillness, the guilt grew louder than any alarm. I believed that pausing meant I was falling behind. That belief didn't start tonight. It's a story that's been threaded through me for as long as I can remember. Maybe you know it too. The story that says worth is measured in hours worked, that the busier you are, the more important you must be. That rest is a luxury, maybe even a sin. Growing up, I learned quickly that stillness had a price. If I sat too long on the couch as a kid, someone would ask why I wasn't helping. If I lingered in bed, I'd hear, lazy. Productivity was praised. Exhaustion was admired. Tiredness meant you were trying. Stillness meant you were failing. So I carried that script into my adulthood. I glorified the grind. I stacked late nights like trophies. I measured my value by how often I could say, I'm busy. And when I wasn't busy, I wasn't proud. I was ashamed. Do you feel that too? Do you feel guilty when you take breaks? Do you judge yourself for not filling every second of your day with progress? Even now, lying on my couch with my body aching for stillness, my mind couldn't let me rest. The unopened laptop on the table became more than a machine. It became a symbol of everything I wasn't doing, everything I was neglecting, everything that would catch up to me later. It glared at me with its silent lid, as if daring me to try to ignore it. The phone in my hand wasn't just a device, it was a leash. Each buzz yanked me back into the loop of urgency. Each red bubble felt like a judgment. And my mind whispered the same old lines. You don't deserve to rest. You're not finished yet. You're falling behind. I thought of the wisdom I'd once read. Rest is not escape, it's preparation. I had underlined it in a book, written it on a sticky note, even shared it with friends. It made sense when I said it out loud. It felt good, noble, like something I could believe in. But in practice, lying here, blanket tangled around me, notifications piling up, it didn't feel like preparation. It felt like proof that I was weak. I shifted again, restless. My body begged for stillness, but my brain ran marathons in place. I tried deep breaths, counting, anything to slow the guilt, but the guilt always outran me. And the louder it grew, the smaller I felt. Because in my world, rest wasn't neutral. Rest was betrayal. Betrayal of ambition, betrayal of opportunity, betrayal of all the people who worked harder than me. And so the war raged inside me. Body versus brain, rest versus guilt. And as always, guilt was winning. Eventually, exhaustion won. I told myself I was just closing my eyes for a minute, just resting my head back against the couch, only until the heaviness in my eyelids passed. But the couch pulled me deeper. The blanket slid over my body like a tide. The phone slipped from my hand, landing with a soft thud against the cushion. The hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen blurred into white noise. The occasional whoosh of a car outside the window softened into the distance. My breathing slowed, shallow at first, then deeper until I was gone. I didn't mean to fall asleep, but I did. And then the alarm tone cut through the quiet. Harsh, metallic, unforgiving. My body jerked awake as if I had been caught stealing something. I shot upright, heart pounding, mouth dry, skin clammy. Instead of relief, guilt poured in instantly. The first thought wasn't thank goodness. I feel better. It wasn't even that nap was short. The first thought was condemnation. I wasted time. I'm falling behind. I should have been working. I'm lazy. I fumbled for the phone, silenced the alarm, but the sound had already branded the nap as failure. My inner critic pounced, relentless. This is why you'll never get ahead. Everyone else is pushing harder while you're lying here. You don't deserve peace. You don't deserve rest. Rest is for people who've already made it. Rest is for people better than you. The words hit harder than the alarm itself. I shoved the blanket aside, suddenly suffocated by its warmth. I swung my legs over the edge of the couch, but my knees trembled when I tried to stand. My chest tightened, breath shallow, as if guilt itself were pressing me down. I collapsed back against the couch, frustrated, My hands pressed into my face, groaning. My body had claimed rest, but my mind had twisted it into failure. And in that low moment, I believed it. I believed I was undeserving of peace, that the moment I stopped, I failed. That stillness was proof I wasn't enough. Rest didn't feel like recovery. It felt like sabotage. I thought back to other times this had happened. Vacations where I packed my laptop just in case. Weekends when I promised myself a day off, but ended up working anyway. Even as a kid, if I lay too long in bed, I'd hear footsteps in the hallway. Someone asking why I wasn't helping, why I wasn't moving, why I was wasting the day. The conditioning ran deep. Rest had never been neutral in my story. It had always carried accusations. And here I was, again, grown, exhausted, and still haunted by the same story. A 20-minute nap became a courtroom trial. A sigh became a confession of guilt. I slumped forward, elbows on my knees, head in my hands. The alarm tone still echoed in my ears. My inner critic's voice echoed louder still. And I almost believed that it would always be this way. But then something shifted. The blanket I had shoved aside still brushed against my foot. Almost without thinking, I reached down, pulled it back over me, and wrapped it tighter this time. The fabric was soft, familiar, safe. My body, still trembling, began to soften under its weight. I sat there, cocooned, and for the first time all night, I didn't fight it. I whispered, hesitant, like I was daring myself to believe. Rest is my right. The words felt strange. My critic rose instantly to argue. No, rest is indulgence. Rest is weakness. Rest is waste. But I said it again, softer this time. Like a secret, I was telling the part of me that still hoped. Rest is my right. The words sank into my chest. My heart, still pounding, softened slightly. My body loosened by a fraction. I looked at the closed laptop on the table. For hours, it had been an accusation, glaring at me, waiting to indict me. But now, in this small shift, I saw something else. The laptop wasn't angry. It wasn't watching. It was still. It would be there tomorrow. My work wasn't vanishing in these minutes. My worth wasn't evaporating because I paused. I breathed deeper. The blanket hugged my shoulders, and the guilt loosened its grip. I said it louder this time. Rest is my right. And the truth landed. Rest isn't laziness. Rest fuels strength. Rest isn't escape. It's preparation. Rest isn't failure. It's the reason I can keep going at all. I leaned back, eyes closing again. Not in sleep this time, but in surrender. Harp tones played in my mind as my breathing slowed, steady, and calm. The mantra grew with me. Guilt to neutrality, to calm, to assurance. Rest is my right. Rest is my right. Rest is my right. Each repetition untied another knot inside me. Each repetition loosened another chain of conditioning. Each repetition anchored me deeper in the truth I had been denying. The room hadn't changed. The laptop was still closed on the table. The phone was still silent beside me. The world outside was still moving at its usual pace, but inside me, something had shifted. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to believe. I don't need to earn rest. I don't need to justify it. I don't need to apologize for it. Rest is my right. And in that moment, I knew guilt may still visit me, but it no longer owns me. Rest only became real for me when I gave it shape. It wasn't enough to say the mantra. It wasn't enough to sit on the couch and whisper, "Rest is my right," until I believed it. My mind was too practiced at finding loopholes, too skilled at turning even wisdom into guilt. So I decided to practice in the simplest, most tangible way I could. I scheduled rest. I pulled out my planner, the same one where I tracked meetings and deadlines, the same one where I packed every margin with obligations. I flipped to tomorrow's page, already crowded with tasks and notes, and, for the first time, I circled a block of time, not for work, not for calls, not for progress, but for rest. At first, my hand trembled. It felt ridiculous, childish even. Who circles nap time in their planner? Who blocks off an hour for tea as if it matters? But as my pen carved the circle, I realized what I was really doing. I was carving out space for myself. The circle wasn't empty. The circle was a container, a boundary, a promise. And in that promise, I felt a shift. Because scheduling rest wasn't about proving I deserved it. It was about declaring that I already did. Do you do that? Do you wait for the day to somehow hand you rest and then feel guilty when it doesn't? Do you believe you can only rest if every other box is checked, every email answered, every task complete? I lived that way for years, and the truth is, the list never ends. There's always one more email, one more errand, one more demand. Waiting for permission to rest meant never resting at all. So now I block it. I circle it. I write it into my day as boldly as any meeting. And when my critic whispers lazy, I look at the page and remind myself, this isn't laziness. This is fuel. The pen pressing into paper leaves proof. Proof that I chose myself. Proof that rest isn't an accident. It's intentional. I trace the circle again, darker this time, letting the ink sink into the page. It wasn't just a shape anymore. It was an anchor, a symbol. Every time I saw it, I felt the reassurance. Rest builds me. Rest fuels me. Rest is not failure. And in that circle, I found room to breathe. I sat back, planner open on my lap, the circle gleaming faintly under the lamp. The room was quiet, my body calmer now, the blanket steady around me. And I spoke the words one more time, not as a whisper, not as a question, but as truth. Rest is my right. Even showing up here tonight, even allowing myself to pause, was proof. Proof that I didn't have to fight for rest. Proof that I didn't have to justify it. Proof that it was already mine. The candle flickered on the table, flame steady, despite the currents of air moving through the room. Imperfect, but unwavering. That was me, imperfect, but steady. Guilty sometimes, yes, but no longer ruled by guilt. I breathed deep, letting the mantra flow with the breath. Rest is my right. Inhale. Rest builds me. Exhale. Rest fuels me. Pause. Rest is my right. Each repetition carried me deeper into calm. Each breath reminded me that rest wasn't the enemy of growth. It was the soil that made growth possible. I thought of the world outside, racing, competing, striving without pause. I thought of the part of me still tempted to join that race at every second. And I chose again, right there, not to run, to rest, to prepare, to be human. Because rest is not escape, it's preparation. Rest isn't lost time, it's sacred time. And I knew the bravest thing I could do tonight was nothing at all. So I let the candlelight hold me. I let the mantra steady me. I let the guilt dissolve into the truth I had finally claimed. Rest is my right. And as I close tonight, I'm asking myself, what's one way I'll rest guilt-free this week? What's one pause I'll claim? Not as laziness, not as waste, but as my right. I'm writing it down. I'm circling it. I'm giving it shape. And I'm letting it remind me the way it always does. You can pause without guilt. You can stop without shame. You can rest because rest is your right. And sometimes the smallest flame, steady, imperfect, alive, is enough to light the whole room.